Our movie review for the day is going to be for the film House. There, 1977. This movie came out there as a Japanese comedy horror film. There, directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi. And he's director of this film. Didn't pass away that long ago. He actually passed away 5 years ago in
Oh,
2020. He was 82 years old there. And what is this movie about here? And this is part of the Criterion Collection.
hmm.
There. So this is movie part of the Criterion Collection. I had seen this movie before. Sage did not. This is his first time ever seeing the movie. So it'll be interesting to get his thoughts on this being a first time viewer of it. But it's a simple movie here. You got these seven girls here. Seven girls who all have nicknames for each other. You never knew. I don't think you ever hear their real names. They only call each other by the nicknames there. And for summer vacation, their break from school there, they decide to visit their one friend's aunt's house for the summer vacation. They travel to her house, help her around there, and have a horrible adventure there, a horror adventure, you would say. That so the seven friends you have, Gorgeous is the lead of the film. Then you have Kung Fu there. Then you have Fantasy. Then you have a character called Professor. Or but it's only Prof. That's it, not fully Professor. Prof, I guess. I don't know
All
exactly
right.
how something like that. Then you have Mac, then you have Melody, then you have Sweet. And basically their nicknames basically just define their personalities. Kung Fu, well, guess what she's good at? She's the action character. So she's very good at Kung Fu, and she's the action heroine of the movie. The character Mac, I guess short for McDonald's, I guess. She likes to eat a lot. There's that. So she just is constantly eating something. Gorgeous. She's a very beautiful woman, so they call her Gorgeous there. She's also constantly applying makeup to herself and everything like that. The character of Professor, she wears glasses, so of course, people who wear glasses, of course, she's gonna do a lot of reading. She's a smart one. Then you have Fantasy. I didn't exactly know maybe because she daydreamed a lot, I guess. Maybe sometimes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They called her Fantasy. Melody, she was musically gifted. She could play the piano and things like that, sing. Sweet, I guess, because she was just a sweet girl, I guess. She was just nice. I don't exactly know all the reason why she was called Sweet. But yes. So yeah, they just visit this girl's aunt there, and the aunt is the gorgeous girl that's her aunt that they're visiting there. And yeah, like I said, it kind of is just this wild, crazy escape of them just trying to survive this house from trying to kill them. And that's the setup you have here. It's a cult classic film. There, like it got kind of bastard. It kind of got hugely negative reviews in Japan, but it re-released there in North America, and then people saw it in North America, and people were like, hey, this is kind of crazy and it's kind of fun, and it kind of gained a cult following from that. So Sage, what are your thoughts on House there?
Man, I'm still trying to figure that out. This was such a weird experience. Very strange movie. Tonally, uh, getting whiplash, right? Just like even before they get to the house, even just the beginning of the film, they there's wild fluctuations between these tones, and they also used like a ton of like paintings as backgrounds or like green screen and artwork in a like even just at the beginning of the movie. It's like they're constantly doing this, and so it creates this like very surreal, just weird tone to the whole thing. um
Mhm.
Man, it's funny. I hearing you say in describing it that it is listed as a horror comedy. It's interesting because I just clicked on it. I didn't look at anything else, and I was trying to figure out is it supposed to be funny? But then at times it seemed like it obviously was, and then but then it would drop it in other moments, and it it didn't seem like it anymore. But then again, it would kind of rear its head again. Again with the just fluctuating tone. I was thinking though, because when did this? Do you know when this re-released in North America? Like,
I
how long
bel
did that take?
I believe it was, let me check. I believe I wanna say it was, like, 2010. Yeah, so they re-released, yeah, in North
Okay.
America in 2009 and in 2010.
Okay. I wonder. I mean, I just wondered if there was maybe bootlegs of it getting passed around, maybe earlier in the U.S. or something. It's because I really felt like I could have seen Sam Raimi watching this in the '70s before making Evil Dead. Like there were
Mm.
times when I really was like, some of this almost seems like it's doing a little bit of the kind of wackiness of Sam Raimi before he really got started.
Oh yeah, I definitely could see that. And some of the action moments in here, and I'll play some of the clips there in the trailer there. I mean, I'll play some of the clips from the movie there. But yeah, I could see that definitely Evil Dead kind of style type action horror comedy that you have there. Very slapstick in terms of what happens, the way the characters kind of die. I mean, there's a lot of kind of good deaths in here. I think my one of my favorite ones is like the piano scene there.
Yeah.
That maybe is kind of my favorite one. So you have the girl Melody there who's playing the piano and then she gets swallowed up by the piano. Let's see if I can actually find that clip there, which is pretty good. But yeah, so I think that's pretty crazy like what they do there. And just also kind of like strange just comedic moments in the movie. Like there's a scene where a character's just like he's walking down the stairs and he falls into like a bucket and then he like gets stuck in the bucket and then for some reason he just starts spinning around in the bucket
I
for
mean, that was straight up Three Stooges, like full on slapstick.
yeah, like he misses this cat, and then even the way he falls, and then just for no reason, he's just doing that. Like what? Yeah, it's just like okay, he's just doing that, and it's just very very weird and very strange there. But it's you know kind of just works in this crazy kind of fantasy world of this movie. What do you think about the characters in it there of this like? Uh, because like, they're defined kinda by their nicknames there. Were they a little too one note for you, or
I didn't find any of them to stand out all that much, except for maybe the aunt, just because I feel like there's maybe slightly more to her and what's going on. And I mean, I guess there was a little bit of narrative that I felt like was hinted at, but not fully laid out with. And I think it was was her name was Gorgeous, right?
yeah.
uh, I think there's a little bit of narrative with her that I feel like they hint at. There's a moment where it's like late in the movie, and there's like a bunch of flashes, and one of the images looked like she was in like a movie theater alone with her teacher for a second, and I was like, oh, is there some like allegorical stuff here happening with some like this much older man maybe taking advantage of her? But I feel it was just like a brief thing, and I wasn't even sure if I saw it 100% correctly. But so, character wise, yeah, I mean, I didn't take a whole lot away from any of them, except for that. That seemed like maybe there was something deeper under the surface happening.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the I mean, things about this movie, like you said, they're like I said, they're kind of defined by the nicknames there, so you don't really get much beyond that for some of them. Some of them get dispatched with pretty quickly. With that, like I said, the girl that likes to eat, I mean, yeah, that's it. That's basically it's like I mean, she's always got like two fistfuls of something, burgers or something there in her hands. That's about it. And then I mean, the girl that's the kung fu girl, like she busts out kung fu moves, and then they do these quick, fast kind of edits there. In it, like
And
there's
that reminded me of Sam Raimi's kind of crazy camera work a little bit too.
yeah, like you have that kind of going on. But there's also some just really interesting visual moments. There's a scene where I think it's the gorgeous character. She's looking at the mirror and the mirror's cracking. And then as it's cracking, like she's also kind of herself is cracking as a mirror, which I thought was really interesting. That was really good in the kind of this very Wizard of Oz s color kind of
Mm.
palette that you have in this movie. Like you mentioned, like some of the scenes that kind of look like a painting they're walking on. I played it a little bit in the trailer where they're just kind of walking up to the aunt's house and like you kind of see the with their the background they're walking against this kind of green scene painting like thing there that you have, which is also very good there. I think that's very cool. What'd you think about a lot of that in the movie?
That I think is the strongest thing about it is just that visual flair because it just looks so weird and just so unique and different. That was my favorite element of the whole thing. I thought, and even just some of those backgrounds, even if I just saw that as a painting, at a museum. I was like, wow, that's a great painting. Just really good art, honestly. I thought, yeah, and then again, it helped it stand out because, like I said, the characters are pretty. I felt like pretty one note. Like there's not much to that. So the movie, and sometimes the plot, I feel like was downright just incoherent. So I feel like the movie is a lot of the time it's getting by on it how crazy its visuals can be.
Mm, yeah. So yeah, a lot of that too. Yeah, it's kind of getting by on how wacky it is in terms of that. You said you were kind of a little bit more interested in the aunt there and kind of what the aunt had going on.
I'm
But
not sure what she had going on, but I am more interested in it.
um, so I mean, we're gonna do a spoiler talk for the movie there, since I mean it's an old movie, but yeah. So the aunt seems to be, I guess, in some ways a witch there. In some ways,
Or the cat is. I can't tell which one's in charge.
yeah, the cat or the witch, they're working in tandem. They're a team there that you
Right.
have. And so with the aunt there, she lost her husband in war. They give a backstory how she lost her husband there. He never came home, so she just spent all this time just waiting for him to come back, and she lost all her youth waiting for him to come back there. So what she kind of does is she is able to steal the youth of other people, eat them there, and regain that. You see her, like, at first you see her, she's in a wheelchair, and then she's very weak and feeble there, and then feeble, and then you see that she kills one of the characters, and then she kind of is able to walk from the wheelchair and all that other stuff to that. And there's like a scene where they're eating watermelon together, and she's messing with one of the girls there, which is kind of interesting. This is the scene right here where she's doing that, where she's kind of, she looks rejuvenated, she looks healthier. You got that kind of going on. So yeah, so she's trying to do that. So this is it right here. And the girl, I think she's doing, I think this girl is supposed to be sweet, I think. I think that's the girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, that felt like one of those moments that's
Oh,
very
fantasy. That's who it was.
oh, because she's always imagining things.
Yeah.
Um, that was one of those moments where I instantly thought, "Oh, Sam Raimi, like that. That's totally got that kind of dark humor sensibility. Like that. That's. I mean, I feel like they even did that. In, what was it, Evil Dead Rise? They even did that with the eyeball in the mouth at one point, like that same visual.
Mm, nice. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, that's very cool there. But yeah, that seems to kind of be her kind of main goal there. And then she also takes the body of her niece there, who's gorgeous, and takes over her body. You see that with that there, and she takes over. Um, and also with this movie, so some good things about this movie. So this is the first Japanese film to use video effects,
Mm.
which is applied in a scene there, make one of the girls dissolve underwater through low fidelity video and a simple chroma kind of key effect. So that's a very interesting note about that with it there. So there's it just constantly also ratchets it up uh, all these strange things that's happening. And this is a very short movie. It's only like an hour and 20 something minutes, barely an hour and 30. So it's only that there. So it's a quick watch where you can watch it there at home. Um, besides kind of some of the imagery of the movie there, um, what were kind of you thinking through most of it, of like what it was kind of supposed to represent, what these kind of girls were going through?
Well, this is just me kind of doing my best to guess because I felt like it felt like the kind of movie where I might have to like read some like essays to fully decipher. But there was some imagery of the atomic bomb, and then sort of a kind of showing like the gen first, almost like the first generation that was born and grew up kind of in the aftermath of it to some degree, or after society had kind of collected itself from it. And so it seems like there might be, to me, a little bit of a, this is, the kind of the generation that like had the bombs dropped in their childhood, almost being like jealous of the stolen childhood and then stealing the youth of these girls, almost as a is sort of metaphor for that like jealousy of like kind of almost a generation like losing like their entire like this entire part of their lives, and then seeing this next generation actually kind of enjoying it. And yeah, that's kind of what I saw.
Yeah. Pretty much. So the director there, Obihashi, incorporated themes, like you said, of the atomic bombs there, Hiroshima, Nagasaki there, into it. Um, Obayashi was born in Hiroshima and lost all his childhood friends there. It says here from
Damn.
these bombings. So he applied themes of that into the plot there, with a woman's ghost waiting for her lover to return from World War II there, and then kind of that anger of seeing all these people there who never had to experience that, and that kind of came out in this a little bit. So that's some of the themes incorporated
That's
into
close.
the
I'm closer than I expected it to be.
there, which is pretty cool. Did you have a favorite character at all? Was it the aunt or?
Either the aunt or the cat. I was pretty mesmerized by some of the things that cat was doing.
Pretty cute cat. Yeah, the cat had this effect of like its eye, like the eyes turn green or something, or it had this green effect there. Would it be doing something? I don't know. I kind of had I liked a lot of stuff Kung Fu did. I liked a lot of stuff she
Oh,
did.
sure.
I thought that kind of what she did there.
Also, that shot with the hair in the tub, is that like, I don't know, but is that the first like movie where, because that sort of visual was used a lot in The Grudge and The Ring and like a lot of J horror that would come like later. I wonder if that's like the first movie to have that like black hair, like wet hair coming out of like water sort of effect.
I wonder. Yeah, I don't
It's
know
brief
actually.
because they don't use it like a bunch of times. It's just that one scene, but they do it.
That's an interesting point. It'd be good to find that out and how influential this movie was on other horror films. Like I said, it did become a cult classic, but it didn't release in North America until 2009, 2010, as I said there. But yeah, uh, and a lot of the approach of this movie. So this was also Toho Studios, famous Toho Studios there. People know in Japanese entertainment that's responsible for things like Godzilla, especially that's huge there. And then even the director of this movie had a pitch for Godzilla. The
Mm,
pitch says here with Godzilla. So Obihashi proposed a story for what would have been the 16th Godzilla film. Had the film been made, it would have used the same crew as this film, so you'd had some of the same
okay.
actors there. And then let's see, the story would have told a little girl named Mamo who discovers the dead body of Godzilla. After being dissected, Godzilla is revealed to be a pregnant female alien named Roseanne, who died of diabetes. The brain of
What?
the dead, the brain of
Did
the
you
dead
just have a
Roseanne.
stroke or did I?
Hey, this is his grand plan here. He says the brain of the dead Roseanne instructs the humans that she must return with her unborn son to the planet of Godzilla. So her body is converted into a spaceship. The newborn child would be reunited with his father, and they would have fought a female monster that shot fire from her breast. Uh, and then ultimately, this project was discarded by Toho and was instead released as a short story in Japanese edition of Starlog magazine. The artwork was by the future Akira director. I'm going to butcher this name, Katsuhiro Otomo. There,
You got it very close, actually. Katsuhiro Otomo, but that was very, very
yeah.
close.
So if people want to look at that, it's in Starlog magazine, and it's from the yeah. So there you
I'd
go.
be lying if I said I didn't kind of want to wish that movie had gotten made.
Yeah. And part of the reason why they made this house movie was because they wanted to do a movie like not I'm sorry, Godzilla, like a movie like Jaws, because Jaws came out in
Gotcha.
1975. So they wanted to do like a kind of a little bit of, I guess, a creature feature like Jaws was, and kind of reflect that success there. With that there. Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of just a fun, interesting kind of fact there
That's
about this.
interesting.
But yeah. Um, what else, really did you wanna say about this movie there that you like about it?
Well, let's see. I did keep noticing the soundtrack. I did keep the score. I did keep noticing like, and it would have these like bright, peppy songs that almost felt like they belonged to like a Saturday morning cartoon. And then there would be this kind of like genuinely like well done, like kind of creepy music it would settle into in other scenes. And I thought, regardless of how like wildly like flipping the tone is there, I thought that that music all felt like very well produced and very like the way it bounced back and forth, it was interesting. And then of course, like you said, that piano scene kill, which I agree, I think might be the best one in the movie. That also like directly that makes like some of the soundtrack diegetic too in a way that I thought was really cool.
Yeah. Very kind of this was before a little bit before John Carpenter. Very John Carpenter-esque there with some of the
Yeah,
piano kind of chords there. I don't know, maybe did he get his hands on House there beforehand?
that's
Because
possible.
Halloween came out in 1978. I wonder did he hear a little bit. And let me play a little bit of the music because that's also very identifiable with this movie. I'm glad you mentioned that of some of the key kind of keystrokes in here. Kind of simple, you can imagine playing that on the piano, but it's very effective there, like, when you
Yeah.
actually learn how to play the Halloween theme, it's like it's not that actually complicated to play the Halloween theme there, when you actually do that, but I know John Carpenter's all about that synth pop, so all about that kinda added into it, but yeah, you got
I wouldn't be surprised if he did get his hands on this movie because there's a lot of I feel like there's a lot of foreign entertainment that mainstream was nowhere to be seen, right, in like a mainstream market here until way I mean not until like the 90s basically, and even then it was kind of sparse for some of that stuff, but uh I do feel like there you would get, especially people in artist circles would get like a bootleg VHS tape, and or maybe they do find a way to make like a batch of them, and then they would kind of like artists would spread those things around to each other. I mean, like another good example is that anime from the early 80s called Angel's Egg, which hasn't even been released in theaters before. It's very soon is about to be for like a remaster thing, but there's a shot in that movie that is like very clearly, I'm like, I know Guillermo del Toro got that shot from Pan's Labyrinth from this animated movie. And I'm like, but the only way he would have been able to do that was some sort of bootleg VHS copy in the 80s or 90s that floated around. And then he was like, oh, wow, this is inspiring to me or whatever. But I feel like that happens more than we maybe realize.
mm, okay. So what would be your rating for House 1977?
I think I'd give it like a solid regular tune in. It's I think for like a mainstream audience, there's going to be a lot of people that won't be into this because of how weird it is. It's going to test some people's patience on that end. Um, but especially if you like kind of weird art house movies and horror films, I feel like it's a good sort of, especially if you have like a bunch of friends or something and you're like, you guys none of you guys have seen this, oh, you got to see how weird this is. It's the kind of perfect movie to throw on for that. Or even like maybe in like a bar you see they'll play movies on like a screen on a wall that are just visually crazy, but they'll have music playing over everything else. I could totally see this being the kind of movie that you'd play during October at like a bar at like 2 a.m. just to freak people out.
Perfect Alamo Drafthouse type movie there for that
Totally.
for that type of crowd, hipster crowd. And it's like, well, I saw this movie from 1970s, this weird Japanese movie. You haven't probably seen it yet. So yeah, you got that. So you give it a tune in there.
Just a regular tune. And yeah, I think the characters are ultimately still just pretty stock and not all that interesting. But then there's a lot of stuff I think is very fun about it and is very interesting to look at, and the cinematography, like you mentioned. So I feel like there's still a lot of merit to get out of watching it. But I don't think it's like going to be a satisfying traditional narrative, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And all the fun that this movie is, I mean, would I put it on my list like top 100 horror movies ever? So I'm like, no, not really. But I still think it is enjoyable, and does have kind of this crazy wackiness as we mentioned. And the music is very interesting and weird, and the characters, the way they are, and this kind of slapstick comedy horror type aspect really works, and these really interesting visuals in the movie. I couldn't find the clip of her getting eaten by the piano, but that's a really great scene. And then there's a scene where one of the characters gets eaten by a chandelier, or yeah, that, and then that
And
eats her
then
up.
right after the piano too, the severed fingers are still playing the song.
Yeah, you got that going on. So there's like a lot of kind of weird stuff like that kind of going on. That's just interesting visually, and that you could see people kind of being inspired by to take into kind of their own things there, horror wise. I mean, this movie is R rated. There is some nudity in it. Some of the actresses in the movie are high school age. Like the lead actress is 17 in it, and she is nude. And if that's a problem for some people, that there is that in the movie. But yeah, I would also give it a tune in as well for this movie. It's not that hard to find, really, if you were able to find it. Like I said, released already in North America. You could buy it on Blu-ray there. You could also, if you have HBO Max, it's on HBO Max available there. One thing good
That's where
about
I watched it.
yeah, one thing about great about HBO Max is that it does have a lot of the Criterion Collection stuff.
Mm.
So you can watch like Akira Kurosawa stuff there. You know, a lot of kind of films like that that are part of the Criterion. That's one of the good things. They got rid of all the good cartoons, but they kept the Criterion stuff, so they got
For
that.
now, anyway.
Yeah, but that's a little bit of the piano scene that you see there. Like that's a cool kind of visual thing. Like and then like that sequence right there,
Mm.
like this kind of blood. You can tell it's all filled with blood, but done in this kind of cool film way. I thought I liked that quite a bit there. That's very interesting. Um, yeah, very kind of also like mighty something you'd see in like Mighty Python, something like that. If people ever watch those movies, like kind of the way they used kind of art there. So yeah, two tune ins for House there. You can see it on HBO Max as well if you do have that. But yeah, not that hard to find there. So yeah.